his re-election. A lot of people, some people are talking about it. I just saw it just now. And he wrote, today I'm proud to work the work we've done to make Minnesota the best place to live and raise kids. I've decided to step out of the race and let others worry about the election while I focus on the work. A lot of people are saying that the reason why he is stepping down is as a result of this YouTuber Nick, who lied and went to some daycare centers to say that there's fraud in Somalia. They sent daycare centers saying that they did not have children where they did have children. You had follow-up reports that showed that they did have children at the daycare center. But of course, you have a YT man named Nick who decides that he was going to go on this racist, in my opinion, racist investigation, partial investigation, not even full investigation, racist storyline, without even investigating exactly what actually is going on with actually daycare center. So he said, Happy New Year, Minnesota. Like many Minnesota, I'm glad to turn the page on 2025. It was an extraordinary, difficult year for our state, and it ends on a particularly sour note. For the last several years, an organized group of criminals have sought to take advantage of our state's generosity, and even as we make progress in the fight against the fraudster, we now see an organized group of political actors seeking to take advantage of the crisis. So I won't miss word. Donald Trump and his allies in Washington and St. Paul and online wants to make our state a colder, meaner place. They want to poison our people against each other by attacking our neighbors. And ultimately, they want to take away much of what makes Minnesota the best place in America to raise a country. They already begun by taking out tax dollars that were meant to help families and afford child care, and they have no intention of stopping there. Make no mistake, we should be concerned about fraud in our state government. We cannot effectively deliver program and services if we can't earn the public trust. That's why over the past few years, we made systematic changes to the way we do business. We've gone to the legislative time and again to get more tools to combat fraud. We fired people who weren't doing their job. We've seen people go to jail for stealing from our state. We've cut off whole streams of funding in partnership with the federal government where we saw widespread criminal activity. We put new locks on the doors of our remaining program, and we hired a new head of program integrity to seek those, to be sure those locks was not broken. All across the state, Minnesota are hard at work on this problem. Advocate, administrators, investigators are at the front line defending the integrity of our state program, and I want to thank them for their effort. There's more to do. A single taxpayer dollar wasted on fraud is a dollar too much to tolerate. And while there is a role to play for everyone, from the legislative to prosecutors to insurance company to local and county government, the buck stops with me. My administration is taking fast, decisive decisions to solve the crisis, and we will win the fight against the fraudsters. But the political gamemanship we're seeing from Republicans is only making this fight harder to win. We got Republicans here in legislative playing hide and seek with whistleblowers. We've got conspiracy theorists, YouTubers breaking into daycare centers and demanding answers to our children. We got the P of the United States demonizing our Somalia neighbors and wrongfully confiscating child care funding that Minnesotans rely on. It is disgusting, it's dangerous. Republicans are playing politics with the future of our state, and it's shameful. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We welcome ideas from anyone and any party who wants to help us continue to stay ahead of the criminal. And we welcome the involvement of the federal government. I'm grateful for the career professional in the U.S. Attorney Office, FBI. We are helping FBI who helping us fight this fight. But I cannot abide the action of the political leadership in Washington. These opportunists who are willing to hurt our people to score a few cheap points, they and their ally had no intention of helping us solve the problem and every intention of profiting off of it. Which brings me to the 2026. This 2026 is an election year. An election years have a way of wrapping up the politics at the time when we simply cannot afford more politics. In September, I announced I would run for a historic third term in Minnesota government, and I have every confidence that if I give it all my all, I would succeed in that effect. But as I reflect on this moment with my family and my team over the holidays, I've come to the conclusion that I cannot give a political campaign my all. Every moment I spend defending my own political interest would be a moment I can't spend defending the people of Minnesota against the criminals who prey on our generosity and the cynics who prey on our differences. So I've decided to step out of the race and let others worry about the decision while I focus on the work. I know this news may come as a surprise, but I'm passing on the race with zero sadness and zero regret. After all, I didn't run for this job so I could have this job. I ran for the job so I could do this job. Minnesota faces an enormous challenge this year, and I refuse to spend every one moment of 2026 doing anything other than raising to meet the moment. Minnesotan has to come first always. That's why I believe servant leadership demand of me. And as an optimistic, I will hold out some hope that my friends on the other side of the aisle will consider what servant leadership demands of them in the moment. We can work together to combat the criminals, rebuild the public trust, and make our state stronger. But make no mistake, if a Republican continue down this path of abusing power, smearing entire communities, and running their own fraudulent game at the expense of Minnesota, we will fight back every step of the way. I'm confident that the defiler who will hold this seat come November, I'm confident that I will find ways to contribute to the state. I love it even if I left the office next January, but there will be a time to worry about all that later. Today, I'm proud of the work we've done at Minnesota America, best place to live and raise kids, for our new paid leave policy, to our child tax credit, to our free lunch program. I'm doubly proud of the incredible team we put together to make the vision a reality. Thank you to every member of my staff and every state employee who put up this fight. We need you on the job to tackle the important work ahead. Most of all, I want Minnesotans to know that I'm on the job 24/7, focused on making sure we stay America's best place to live and raise children. No one will take that away from me. Not the Forsters, not the Preds, not the P, and not on my watch. Thank you, Tim Walz, Minnesota governor. In seeing this statement, I think I understand why Tim Walz wants to step aside, just by remembering how he was such a gentleman, and I felt he was too much of a gentleman in the debate with couch-loving J.D. Vance. I felt that he was just too kind. I thought that he should have came across stronger, but yet in saying that, I love the way that he conducted himself and he gave respect. And I love the fact that because he wasn't hostile to J.D. Vance, J.D. Vance could not be hostile to him. So they had a pretty even kill type of conversation, and I love that for them. So they meaning, the MAGA community brothers and sisters are celebrating the fact, some of them on social media, that Tim Walz is stepping aside without realizing that Tim Walz is one of the nicest and most respected and most, giving government of the United States. Also, what a lot of people are not realizing is that everything that Donald Trump and his administration say that other people are doing is what Donald Trump has done, been found guilty of, and will continue to do. So the irony to me that people are stepping away from the job, people are giving their hands up and walking away because this administration or the YouTubers or the YT YouTubers or the racist YT YouTubers are going after stories to carry favor for the administration. Is crazy to me. It's just crazy to me. But I get how Tim Walz feels. I think that's how a lot of black folks feel. That's how I feel. F it. That's how I feel. Since they wanna make our lives a living hell, I'm gonna step aside and let somebody else take it. Let somebody deal with the nonsense. We'll continue to do the work. We'll continue to live in America and do the best to protect ourselves, our family, our community. But we'll say effort. Like, why should we put any more effort fighting a corrupt administration when we could just continue to do the work and see what happens next. If somebody else want to take up the gauntlet and fight, whether it's liberal or progressive or whatever, and want to continue to fight, give them that reign to fight. But I don't feel, I get what Tim Walz doing. He's saying, F it, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to continue to speak as I'm going to speak. I'm not going to let nobody stop me by threatening my job. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to let somebody else handle with the election. I hear him. I hear it, and I'm sure that because of he wanted to protect his family, especially his son, and from any kind of the right wing raft and craziness that's coming on a daily basis. They act as if, and I'm talking about MAGA, acts as if most of the country are illiterate and unintelligent, and don't know exactly what's happening in this world. Every single state has fraud. There were COVID fraud. There were real estate fraud. There were Bitcoin fraud. There is fraud behaviors on a daily basis. Credit card fraud. Every state, every government has fraud in it. It's not the fraud itself, it's how you fight the fraud and how you do what you can to prevent it from happening again. You understand what I'm saying? But I think the most ironic thing is that the current person in office have all of these people, commissioners, leaders, so-called leaders that are in charge of these agencies that have some very horrible criminal backgrounds. And I'm talking about court cases. I'm not talking about implication. I'm not talking about conspiracies. A lot of these people that he put in office, a lot of these officials have court cases, and they've been found liable for a lot of things, including the person that's currently in the White House. So I just find it ironic that a lot of MAGAs and a lot of the people that support Donald Trump, which I say they all MAGAs, want to actually come outside and with their hypocrisy and the twisting their mouth to try to talk about someone else. It's just to me, it's just ironic. It's just silly to me. You can't hold an ethical, moral ground when you are not an ethical, moral person. It just doesn't work. You could try as much as you want to try to change history. Try current. People know who you are. People know the evil that one does, So I understand why Tim Walz had to step aside and decide not to run again. I'm sorry he have to. I don't know where the Democrat Party as a whole, because the Democrat Party is doing their own thing, but they think about it. I just found out about it, but I totally understand why he had to do it. Why he not even had to do, why he wanted to do it. Would I have preferred that him to say, F it, I'm going to stay and I'm not going to let Donald Trump or anybody else put me aside? Yes, I like a fighter, but I also understand why he did it. But it's just the irony. It's the irony of how he was just so respectful and even kind to J.D. Vance during the debate. He didn't try to drag him. He didn't try to bring him down. He just had a conversation with him. So the MAGA and the Trump and the YT Nick, what his name is, Springer, or whatever that Nick name is, they went through so much trouble to go into Minnesota because of the fact that Trump and his administration was mad at Elon, in my opinion, House Representative Elon, who's also Somalian. They went after her because of what she had to say about Donald Trump. And the YouTuber decided he's going to do a catch me and do a fraudulent report on a daycare center that led to other reports that led the federal government and government to use that as a mean to continue to push and harass the governor of Minnesota, and then he decided to step aside. Not knowing, everybody knows that every state have fraud. Everybody know that the government, the DA, the fight fraud on a daily basis, but they choose that. It's just and it's based on racism, and it's based on the hatred of House Representative Alon by the Trump and the Trump administration. So this is just the beginning. There's going to be other targets. I hear that they target Mark, and that they, at least, well, this is what I'm saying, Mark Kelly. They're saying that they are removing Mark Kelly retirement and a benefit. Is that what they're trying to do right now, removing his retirement benefit? I mean, I'm sure that Mark Kelly and his wife has enough money to be okay until we have a regime change. All right? Because people are talking about and happy about regime change. There's going to be another regime change. And then once this happens, then he'll be able to get his back pay. Because you cannot just remove a veteran or military personnel pay because of what they have to say. I hope that Mark Kelly goes to court, and he forced the government to give him back his money. And if it's cost years of back pay so he could live pretty. But again, it's just a hypocrisy. Today I was outside covering the Benduro indictment hearing, and I got into conversation with several people, but it was a couple of them that was talking about how I didn't have a right to say what I had to say, but yet in their own breath, they were like, oh, I have the First Amendment right to say what I want to say. I'm like, yo, you sitting here talking about how you have the First Amendment right to say what you want to say, but yet you trying to stop me from saying what I want to say. It's just the privilege and the hypocrisy and the lies and the disgusting behavior of a lot of people who support Donald Trump and put us in these positions. So it's crazy. It's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. This is where we are as a community. I'm going to miss Tim Walz. I did enjoy seeing him during the election, and his family and his gentleman's sweet behavior. I hope that things change to the point where he could one day come back if he choose. But if not, that he knows that, he's just a wonderful gentleman, and that he did the best that he can. And I hope that him and his family could now move forward once the job is done, move forward and just have a good, happy life. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, it's really sad that this happened and stuff like that. And I just can't wait. Karma, at the end of the day, I want to say karma is a B. Everything that is done is going to be reversed back to the people that's done some horrible things. So karma is a B. So I'm just waiting for karma to start knocking on some doors. Anyway, take care. And